Baruchim Abbaim, Parashat Emor, class in loving memory of our dear friend David Ali Bey Cohen. Zichrono Livracha. This week, Rabotai, we have Parashat Emor. And Parashat Emor starts off with a lot of laws pertaining to Kohanim, who the Kohanim is allowed to marry, who they're not allowed to marry, the difference between a Kohen Gadol and a Kohen Hediot. Then the Parashat goes into the different holidays of the year. We always read Parashat Emor on the holidays. Discusses Sukkot and Pesach and Shavuot and Sefirat HaOmer time and Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. So it's packed towards the end of the Parashat. You could talk on each holiday and give a whole class on each holiday. Well, the connection we're going to make over here with Parashat Emor, we might as well kill two birds with one stone, forgive the phrase. We'll talk about Sefirat HaOmer. We're in the time of Sefirat HaOmer. We discussed it last week on an angle of Haftalah Racha Kamocha. We discussed the students of Rabbi Akiva in regard to Sefirat HaOmer time. And this week we want to discuss Sefirat HaOmer in relationship to the big day, Shavuot. Pasuk says in this week's Parashat, Sfartem Lachem, count for yourselves, the Machorat Shabbat, from the day after the Pesach starts, the second day of Pesach, Sfartem Lachem Machorat Shabbat, Sheba Shabbatot, Timimot, Yena, you have to count 7 full weeks until you get to the big day Shavuot. And that in itself is a question. Why do we call that holiday Shavuot? What does Shavuot mean? Weeks. The reason you're calling it Shavuot simply is because you counted 7 weeks and you got to that day. But it does not describe the holiday whatsoever. You know, if you want to call a holiday of Shavuot, call it Hag Matan Torah, which we do refer to it in one of the names like that. Zeman Matan Toratenu. Okay, that tells us that was the day we got the Torah. Shavuot it's like a prerequisite how we got there. So why do you call the main name of this holiday on something that happened already 7 weeks before the holiday you started counting? That's a good time to call this period we're in now. Right? Call Sefirat HaOmer time Shavuot. And when you get the Shavuot, call it Matan Torah. It's a strong question. It gets stronger when you open the Amidah of the holiday. It says in the holiday, it says, "V'titen lanu Hashem Elokenu v'avam moadim l'simcha hagim uzmanim l'sason et yom Hag HaShavuot hazeh et yom tov mikra kodesh hazeh zeman matan toratenu." Oh, now we're putting it together. So obviously there's some type of connection between Shavuot, that name, and Matan Torah. If there is a connection, what is that connection? Well, like we say many times in this class, history repeats itself every single year on the Jewish calendar. Which means in 3.5 weeks from now, when we're going to celebrate Shavuot, we're not commemorating a date on the calendar, 6th of Sivan, in the year 2448, there was a mountain, there was a Moses, he gave it to us. We're not commemorating a past event. History repeats itself every year on the Jewish calendar, and it is if we are on that day standing by Sinai, accepting the Torah, new, again, fresh. And there's spiritual powers in the air on that day, Vav Sivan, in the year 1995, Tafshin Nun He, there are going to be spiritual powers in the air like there were on that original day, because not only history repeats itself, the actual day comes around again, and it is the ultimate day if one wants to accept himself to Yaakov's Torah, and if one wants to make resolutions for Torah, that's the prime day to do it, because that's when we receive the Torah. And it happens like that on every holiday, by the way. We take Sukkot. Sukkot is called Zeman Simchatenu. Zeman Simchatenu is the time of happiness. If a person really wants to work on that trait of happiness, of feeling peace of mind and feeling fortunate in life and going with a happy attitude, the time to work on that is, of course, you work on that all year round. But the ultimate time would be Pesach, which is called Sukkot, which is called Zeman Simchatenu. In the time there is magic that is working, because that's the way it was in history. And Pesach, which we just finished, is called Zeman Herutenu. If one wants to free himself from the confines of Yetzer Hara to become a true free man, and a free man means someone that is in control of his desire, someone who is in control of his pleasure, who is able to restrict himself and not let himself go loose. There's a side point. The world will believe the opposite and have you believe the opposite. That one who can get up when he wants, and go to sleep when he wants, travel when he wants, look at what he wants, and eat what he wants, he's a free man. He's a king. And the poor Jew that's restricted at every turn. Don't do that, go there, don't do it. Oh, he's a Eved. Whoa, what a life. That is the exact opposite. While that fellow that's going and traveling and eating and watching and looking is the biggest slave to his desire, and he's no free man, he is not in control of himself. He's an addict to pleasure, and he can't control it if he wanted to. It's a slave. And sometimes being restricted, that shows inner strength, that shows inner freedom. A poet once said, he says, I have a violin string. It's free. It's free. He says, but it's not free to do what a violin string is supposed to do, play music. So I take it and put it in the violin and tighten it. It's very hard, and I put it, now it's free to do what a violin string is supposed to do. But it's more enjoyable to... Okay. Sometimes when you're restricted, that's for your freedom. Next year we're going to talk about this, maybe before Pesach. That's a good class. Well, where do we are now? Shavuot. Okay. So Pesach is the time to work on that, freeing yourself from the inner Yetzer Hara bondage. Very good. So Shavuot is Zeman Matan Toratenu. Now, don't think for a second that you could just get up on Shavuot, go to shul, hey, I'm here, how you doing, Moshe, give me the Torah, I came to shul, and you're going to get a feeling. Because there was no awesome day like Matan Torah that day. It was the greatest day, not in the history of Judaism, in the history of creation from Adam and Rishon until now, there hasn't been an awesome day like that. And we saw God on that day, and we heard Him speak to us, which not one person, a whole nation. We received a way of life. We received this living Torah. And for the next 40 years in the desert, we learned that Torah. We didn't do it in the desert all day, by the way. Trivia question. The first kolel in the history of creation, I shouldn't say first kolel. I take that back. Because Shem Va'eved had a kolel. That was a small kolel. And Yehuda also opened up a kolel in Mitzrayim. Take that back. To figure out another way to word this trivia question. The largest kolel ever in history. There you go. Attaboy, Ralph. You got it. The largest kolel in history. What was that? Kolel Midbar. We never heard of that one. Yeah, you had 600,000 men. That's besides children, besides people under 20, besides people over 60. They're dealing with a couple of million people in the Midbar for 40 years. What are they doing? Not drinking coconuts, pina coladas. 40 years in the desert, they're learning Torah. Oh, get up in the morning? Okay, what time's class? 9 o'clock shiur. Who's giving? Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. Now 10 o'clock, Yeshua Benu's going to give a class. We've got 100 Zikanim over here going to give a class. What's all? What could you do in the desert? There's nothing else. There's no work. They weren't making money. There was nothing to do. They had the greatest rabbis, and they were themselves were the greatest minds, and God was taking care of all their physical needs, right? The food came right down to their doorsteps. Their clothes grew on them, so there was no purpose to shop. Their shoes got bigger and smaller as their During the heat, it gets bigger. Accordingly, there was no need to take their clothes to the cleaners because the clouds every night when they slept would press their clothes. So anything that was all taken care of. They had total peace of mind to sit and learn Torah for 40 years. The biggest kollel in history. Now those people that were Dor De'ah, the generation of genius and intellect, they had to prepare themselves before they got this Torah. When they came out of Egypt, even though we explained in other classes, they did leave Egypt on a level. They didn't leave like many of us thought, slaves or abid on a low level. They left. And they saw things in Kiryat Yamsuf that things we'll never see in a lifetime. Things that prophets never see in a lifetime, they saw in Kiryat Yamsuf. So simple people don't get those revelations. But for the next 49 days when they left Egypt, they were preparing. God said, 50 days you're getting the Torah, yallah, prepare. So for 49 days they were working on different attributes. The whole nation at large, and the whole nation with, imagine that, a whole nation at one period of our history has one thing on their mind. Get more religious. Get closer to God. But imagine if we had a group of guys like that. Everyone had 5-6 friends like that. Oh, you gotta get into it. We gotta get more slime. Gotta get more. Forget it. We'd all be. Problem is, we're all single guys. Over each guy's got. We don't have 3-4 guys that are pushing each other. He had 600,000. Boom! Come on, we got it. 50 days. Torah. And they all worked and they worked and they worked. And the nation elevated themselves so high that it says when they got to Har Sinai by Yihan Sham, in the singular form, Vayihan, not Vayahanu, not they camped, like he camped, he as the nation was one. The unity and the neshama was all one. It was a tremendous day. And they heard God speak. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. So the question is over here, does Sefirat HaOmer that we're involved in right now have anything to do with those 49 days that they also prepared? And the answer is 1,000%. We are now involved, and if you're not involved in it, so happy birthday, good morning, this is when I came to the class. People who know are involved right now during this period of time in different preparations for the big day. Opening days in 3.5 weeks. So the guys who know are taking batting practice every day. The guys who don't know, okay, they're not even thinking about it. They'll think, when will they think about Shavuot? The normal, regular, mainstream guy thinks of Shavuot maybe a week before when he contemplates to buy a new suit for the holiday. And then, when Shavuot comes, the climax of Shavuot is the calzones and the different dairy meals that we eat on the day. And then, a 4-day weekend. That's let's forget it. It's great. When Shavuot comes out on a Monday, TV Jannin. We're planning already, So that's, of course, those guys were not at Har Sinai. And the calzones guys were not there. That's not Har Sinai. That's a very, very weak level. The guys who know, right now are already prepared, taking batting practice. They're preparing themselves for Shavuot. So Shavuot is a very apropos name. Because Shavuot means the weeks. It means now today, on the 7th, after the 7 weeks, I'm coming with 7 weeks of preparation in my pocket. So it's the holiday of weeks. It's not a 1-day holiday, it's really a 7-week holiday. Shavuot, that 50th day is just the World Series. But, this is the season right now. You gotta play the season to get to the World Series. So, it's Shavuot. That's what we call it. And that's why we count up and we don't count down. The reason why you're counting in Vichlal, in general, one of the reasons the rabbis explain is because when you go into a momentous day, you count. It's like the kids are ready to teach kids, they'll tell you, there's 46 more days of school left. But who's counting? 45, 43, and they can tell you how many days are there from now to the next winter vacation. Everything's calculated, 422 days. 420. They make a count out of it, because when you're looking forward to something, count it down. The question is, why don't we do that with Sefirat Omer? We should say 49 days left, 48 days. When we get to the last day, 1 day left. Well, really, that's what we would do, but we also want to show that we're elevating ourselves. We're not going down during these days. 1 day, okay. We got 1 level now. 2, we're 2 levels now. We want to reach level 49, so therefore we symbolize that in the counting up. So you finally come to level, let's say 49, boom, 50, you're there. Yes, sir.
Shavuot it is very important, but how come it was never considered like a big holiday until recently? It was never considered.
Well, what does that mean till recently?
No,
it's been considered a great...
If you talk to your parents like 20, 30 years, they never even really...
You know, if you talk to our parents, CC just became a big thing recently. You know, you can't judge like that. If you mean just
there was always Rosh Hashanah, there was always Yom Kippur, there was...
It's because we've been living in the Congo for 20 years. But now, thank God, Hashem has brought the light upon us. And we brought the thing, we brought teachers, and we brought Torah on us, and thank God we're able to progress. Now, in India, you can ask the same question. Why don't they know what a light bulb is? Because they're a backwards country. We thank God we know what a light bulb is. So we're progressing. So the thing was always there. It's just that...
I think your grandparents was there.
Oh, of course.
But then they lost it.
Of course, they lost it. Right. Like a lot of things.
My grandmother wore a sandal.
Wow, this is on tape. You hear that? Okay. The thing is like this. Okay, now you understand the word usfartem lachem. It says count for yourselves. The counting is for yourselves. They're giving you a chance. I mean, God could have done it right after Pesach. Boom, atat Torah. 2 weeks later. Well, we don't have time. We need time to stretch. So therefore, usfartem lachem. The counting is for you. The counting is for your personal growth. Here's the point. Here's the point. There is what we call in Torah, kinyanei Torah. Acquisitions of Torah. We have a Mishnah Pirkei Avot, which we're going to start to read tonight. It discusses if a guy wants to become a king. If a guy wants to become a king of a Jewish people, the Mishnah writes that it's not so easy. It says, Hamalchut niknit b'shloshim ma'alot. You need 30 different prerequisites before you could become a king. You got a checklist. If you got all 30, then you're in the running. It's on the ballot. But if you don't have these 30 things, you're out. And you can go look at the 30 things if you're interested in becoming a king. Hakehuna, if you want to be a Kohen, besides the fact that you were born a Kohen, but if you want to reach the ultimate level of what a Kohen is, it's out about 24 prerequisites, and okay, you got the Kohen in your pocket. You bought Kohen now. Can't buy Kohen now. You're a Kohen to start off with, and then you reach the.
You could reach a level of being Kohen without being.
No, you got to be born a Kohen. You got to be born a Kohen. That's the story of the guy that went to the rabbi. He says, "Please, Rabbi, I want to be a Kohen." He said, "You want to be a Kohen? We can't. I'm not going to become a Kohen. I'll do anything to become. I'll give you $1 million to the shul if you make me a Kohen." So the rabbi dollar signs, $1 million. $1 million, I'll make you a Kohen Gadol. So he gives him the $1 million, and he says, "Why do you want it? Why do you want to become a Kohen so much?" He says, "Rabbi, my father was a Kohen, my grandfather was a Kohen." So, of course, you're born into that. You can reach the higher level. Now, Torah is greater than kingdom and greater than Kehuna, because the Mishnah says, "HaTorah nixnit." You want to acquire Torah? Be'arba'im u'shmona devarim. 48 prerequisites. You want to buy Torah? You want to go to the store? Hello, storekeeper, I want to buy Torah. 48 prerequisites. You can't just buy Torah. Now, till now you thought, hey, just learn, open a book and read. That's not like that. Torah is like everything else in this world. You acquire it. Guy wants to buy a piece of candy. He doesn't go into the store and just take it from his pocket. That's not an acquisition. You got to pay money. Candy is acquired in one way: taking money. A house is acquired in several ways, right? Got to pay money. You have to sign a contract. You have to hand over keys. That's Okay, we'll say a house is acquired in 3 ways. Each thing in life, you want to buy a horse, hand over the leash, pull it a little couple of feet, you acquire the horse. You learned like that in Kiddushin. So, there's different things that are acquired different ways. You want to acquire Torah, because you want to have a real strong acquisition to Torah, there are 48 ways. That is a famous tape series called the 48 Ways to Wisdom. Now, where they get this 48 Ways to Wisdom? It's really from this Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. Now, isn't it a coincidence? You have 49 days in between Pesach and Shavuot. So, you could say that each day they're giving you to work on one of the ways. So by the 48th day, you have it all. Now, we know you can't just go for it. You need 49th day to review everything. Right? So you have the 49th day, you rehash all of them. 50th day, you come into Shavuot. Oh, you're solid. Now I'm ready to acquire Torah. Now, of course, these things are really not a one-day job. Of course, you could talk about each one of these 48 ways, forever. Each one is a class in itself. But it is a hidush to know that Torah is not acquired just by reading it. Even though the knowledge will enter your brain, that is not an acquisition. It's like you have a housekeeper that attends to a mansion. The mansion has 45 rooms, and she's in charge of the whole mansion, and she knows every nook and cranny, more than the owner of the house knows. She knows where every item is. Does her knowledge of that mansion make her any more of an owner of the mansion? Well, she has no rights to the mansion. She could know the mansion backwards and forwards. The knowledge is there, but rights? She has no rights. Torah is the same way. You can read Torah, learn Torah, but an acquisition, what we call it's your Torah, which is ultimate learning, does not come unless you have the 48 ways. So one might say, hey, let's learn the 48 ways, because that's the purpose of creation, to learn Torah, and we're not here forever, so let's get to business. The interesting thing I read, whether it's true or not, it's just nice. The students of Rabbi Akiva died, right, during this time. The reason why they died is because they did not have kavod. Right? We talked about that last week. Nagu kavod zeh. One of the ways of acquiring Torah is kavod abiriyot, having respect for your fellow Jew. Kavod abiriyot. Happens to be that kavod abiriyot is the 33rd acquisition. So, you could say that the students of Rabbi Akiva maybe also had this custom to take one a day, and when they got to the 33rd day, they worked on Kavod HaBeriyot, and we know on Lag BaOmer, which is the 33rd day of the Omer, the plague stopped. Because they reached their level. That's something nice to say. I don't know how true it is, but it's nice to hear it anyway. So let's get down to work. The 48 ways to acquire Torah. Number 1. You laugh after I say number 1. We'll see. Number 1, Bit Talmud. You gotta learn. Yeah, you have to list. Of course, it's not a prerequisite to acquire, you gotta learn. We know that. We have to open a book and read it. We know that should be without saying. Rabbis and Mishnah coming to teach you, there's no shortcuts to Torah. A guy thinks he can put on a tape when he's sleeping so the Torah will enter subliminally in his subconscious, like all these other tapes over here, and he'll be wake up an instant Tamid Hacham and know every Gemara. It doesn't work like that. Guy thinks I'll support money to every yeshiva, I'll be a Tamid. Yeah. Supporting is another subject, class we have on that. But Tamid Hacham you don't become. You can support the whole Porat Yosef, but you don't know how to say Ashrei. Doesn't affect the brain. So the first thing is, you want to become someone that owns Torah, you have to open up the book and you have to read. Now, it's not enough to learn alone. When we say Talmud is learning with somebody. You have a rabbi, you have a teacher, you have a study partner. There's a saying in Hebrew, Mipi sofrim velo mipi sefarim. learn from the mouths of rabbis and not from books. Sofrim velo sefarim. Because when you learn from the books, number one, usually the book ends up to become your pillow. What happens is, many times your kavanah is good, you sit with a book in front of you, very nice, you start, after 5-10 minutes, especially if you're on the train or the bus, it's already, you fall on the book, and you use the book as a pillow. Like I told you the story of the maid in the house, one of the people, the man comes home from work, and sees the maid of the house, she's sleeping over a Gemara Shabbat. Gemara Shabbat's opened, and she's sleeping on it. I can't believe it. My maid's learning Gemara Shabbat. What happened over here? So she wakes up. She says, "What's going on?" So the maid says, "I was having a very hard time sleeping, and I noticed every time you open this book, you fall asleep in 5 seconds. So I took the book. I fell asleep in 5 minutes." That's the problem when a guy sits and learns alone. But if a guy's a rabbi, okay, so there's some guys that are hype, he'll fall asleep in front of the rabbi also. But we know guys like this. But the truth of the matter is, a guy will sit with a rabbi, so you got to be attentive. He's talking, you're listening into it, or you're sitting with a study partner. You can't space out in the middle when a guy's talking. Therefore, the first one is betamut. Get a study partner and start reading, start filling your brain with knowledge. There's no shortcuts to get through that. Number 2, bishmi'at ha'ozen. Bishmi'at ha'ozen is understanding with depth. So you're supposed to come to the shiur and try to listen attentively to exactly what's being said in the shiur. Not that you should leave the shiur and get a basic overview. Then you could summarize the most intricate class in 5 words. Like, he's talking about, the laws of shaking of the lab. You were discussing, it's like a guy that he goes to a massive class on astronomy and they're telling him all types of things and depths and everything. And he comes out, they tell him, what'd you learn? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. That's how you're going to summarize an astronomy class, twinkle, twinkle, little star. So, because the guy got vague pictures of what's being said. No, that's not Shemiat HaOzen. If I was sitting over here, and I was saying, Rabotai Eliyahu Navi called me up this morning and gave me the numbers to the lotto. For the next 10 weeks, I am now going to give you the numbers. Now, how would we be sitting over here? Like, I got the lotto. Buy the tape, hold it, get a pen, huh? What did you say? Say it again. Was it 42, 41, box it? What's that? Because, okay, lotto's important to a lot of people. Winning the lotto's a hashim thing. Shemiat HaOzen is very, very powerful when it comes to lotto numbers. So they're telling you the same thing's got to be in Torah. Torah's lotto numbers. Bingo, jackpot. So you have to not only get a vague picture, but try to analyze every single word the rabbi says. It's not enough to sit in this shiur and the Torah will sink into your brain through osmosis. You have to sit and pay attention. Okay, number 3. We're not going to go through all 48. Don't get scared. Go through a couple. Ba'arichat sefatayim. Arichat sefatayim. Important. Moving your lips. We want you to study out loud. Because when you study out loud, you generally remember what you're reading. People who just read with their eyes, like they read a New York Times, you forget it in a second. You read it, zip it, next turn. Torah, you're studying not as a pastime. Torah, you're studying to know. I want to know the knowledge. I want to remember the knowledge. One of the tricks of remembering something is when you read it aloud. That's why sometimes when you walk into the Beit HaMidrash, you see the guy in the back of the Beit HaMidrash alone, nobody within 10 feet of him, and he's singing with the Gemara, and he's singing and shaking and reading out loud, and you're thinking to yourself, that Majnun over there. Who's he talking to? Who's he screaming to? Who's he yelling at? You're sitting in the... Get one thing clear, Rabotai. Our Batei Midrashot are not trying to model themselves to the Brooklyn Public Library. In a library, you're right. You walk in, keep quiet, sit down, read your... If a guy drops a quarter, Lakewood Yeshiva is not the Brooklyn Public Library. You walk in there, there's a war going on. You have 1,000 guys on top of their lungs trying to figure out what Tosafot is saying. Oh, he doesn't mean that, he means this. No, it's not meditation. They're not sitting in a yoga class, trying to elevate themselves through brain waves. They're just reading with the eyes. You have to read out. Like Emor tells the story of the student of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov that learned for 3 years without reading his Torah out loud. He's not always learning. Not always learning. And the rabbis explain when you read Torah out loud, the words go up. When you don't read it out loud, it doesn't have the power to penetrate the heavens. One time there was a big yeshiva, they were all learning, but they were all learning silently. So the big rabbi walks in and says, Rabotai, the room is filled with Torah. The room is filled with Torah. And they all were patting themselves on the back. The rabbi says, don't be proud. When I say the room is filled with Torah, it's because the Torah is not leaving the room. It's staying down here because you're not saying it out loud. It's in the room. You don't want Torah to fill the room. You want Torah to go break the roof down, to go to Shamayim. That's number 3, Arichat Sefatayim. When you're reading, even at home, you're reading an English sefer of Torah, read it out loud. It'll make an impression on your neshama. It makes an impression on your mind. It's like the difference between writing in invisible, in ink that, invisible ink, they call it, erases after a couple of minutes, or writing in regular ink that will stay for a longer period of time. There are methods brought down in Gemara how to better your memory. I notice they give classes and things like that, but the Torah method, very interesting. Some of them you can't understand, some of them you can. But it is important to read the Sifrim to talk about different methods that are good for memory and the different things that make a person forget. For example, there's a Gemara that says eating olives. Eating olives, the worst thing for a person's memory. Makes you forget. Okay, there's a whole subject, what does it mean, what type of olives and things like that. But a lot of the rabbis just very simple, eating olives. Therefore, one should not overindulge himself with olives. If a guy's wondering why hours a day he eats the olives, he's forgetting, he gets his phone number, so there's your answer. You're eating too many olives. And there's like 25 things like that are brought down. That's the point. Number 4, the Binat Halev. Binat Halev is to really get the understanding in your heart. Sometimes you go to a class, you hear what the rabbi is saying, you understand it on that level that he's saying it, but you really have a question that's bothering you over here. So a student is not supposed to walk out of the class, I understand what the rabbi said, but I have a question on it. That means you really don't understand it, because if there's a question on it, you don't have it's not crystallized yet. So one of the ways to acquire Torah is, take what the rabbi says, but don't feel the rabbi is an untouchable. Because he's saying it, I can't ask questions. Many people think that Torah is very closed-minded. You have to do this, do it. Torah is very open-minded. Torah, all Gemara is debates back and forth of different rabbis giving their opinions. It's not so closed-minded like people make it. In Torah classes, if you go to the shiur, that's how classes are given. The rabbi says something, the students say, what about that Gemara? What about this? What about this? And they answer back, and they crystallize the situation. So it's not enough to learn the Torah information, like a college course. I got all the stuff, no questions. No, you're supposed to ask questions. Bibinat Halev, with understanding. Any questions? Okay. Number 5. B'Sechlut Halev. Okay, Sechlut Halev is a similar concept. Of course, there is differences between Binat Halev and Sechlut Halev, but for our purposes, we're not going to discuss the different technicalities of the difference. The next two are Be'ema and Be'irah, with fear, with trepidation. And Torah is not American literature or advanced calculus, where you sit on the couch on a Sunday afternoon and you pop off your slippers and you have some popcorn and you're watching a ball game and you're sitting and reading your Reader's Digest. That Reader's Digest, there's no obligation to read it with fear and trepidation. For that matter, any field of study, there's no prerequisite. You want to study medicine in the bathroom, you're allowed. Some of the greatest rabbis became doctors from the medicine that they studied in the bathroom, the books that they read. There's no prerequisite of fear. Torah is not that way. Torah is God sitting in the room right now. When there's one person sitting and learning Torah, Shekhinah is in front of him. So there's, of course, a dress code. There's a way of sitting. You know, the famous question that the kids ask me before they go on winter vacation. Rabbi, you're allowed to learn Torah on the beach. Are you allowed to learn it in the jacuzzi? Okay, now the question's a sketch question because no kid's going to go there all the way to Aruba to bring his waterproof Gemara and read. But just let's say if we want, are you allowed? Well, you definitely don't have the Emor and the Yirah. That's for sure. Torah has to be done in a certain setting. You know, we're sitting in a room over here. You have 1,000 rabbis sitting with you. And you have God sitting with us. And there's 3 angels writing every single word that's written down, taking out everybody's name. There's massive things happening in heaven with all the Torah that we're causing in the world. This is a major. I think they have some basketball games or hockey games going on. The action's right here tonight, by the way. The world does not understand that, but this is where it is. So there has to be a level of fear. There has to be a level of trepidation. Gemara writes, from the time that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, God rests His Shekhinah in the Beit Midrash. Which means this room over here and rooms like this around the world are replicas of the Beit HaMikdash, and they are serving in lieu of the Beit HaMikdash where God used to rest His presence. When the Kohen used to go into the Kodesh Kodashim on that one day Yom Kippur and used to walk out, we read on Kippur, he used to make a party for his friends. Why did he make a party for his friends? Because his feeling was, Baruch Hashem, I made it. I walked into a place that's fire. I walked into a place that's so sensitive that if you have the littlest avon, you get zapped. Oh, I was able, I passed the test of walking through Kodesh Kodashim. So he's so relieved. It means he walked in with fear, the Kohen Gadol. Today, when you walk into the Beit HaMikdash, that's the Kodesh Kodashim. We're sitting in the Kodesh Kodashim today. We're sitting now involved in the replica of what the Kohen Gadol used to. We don't feel it because we don't know exactly what's happening. But when you work on this trait of knowing exactly what you're doing, and that's how you work on this trait. It's not enough to learn to it. You have to understand the ramifications of your learning. You got to feel when you walk out of this class. Wow, that was very uplifting. I just was sitting with was a holy system, holy situation. Next one. Ba'anava. Okay, humility. That's a whole separate class. Humility, we know, is the greatest midot. Oh, there's something good to say here. I'm not going to get into a whole class on humility. But many people ask a question. You'll have a rabbi. You'll have a guy who knows a lot of Torah. But he might be arrogant. He doesn't have to be a rabbi. He could be anybody for that matter. That has a massive amount of knowledge, and he's sharp. He's got it. He knows. He can answer. He can quote. He has the Torah. He learns, not a sketch. But he's arrogant. But an arrogant in an obvious way. So the question is asked many times. So, okay, so he's got a problem. He's but okay, you can't take it away. He's like, okay, guy knows Torah. He has the goods. Now, from this Mishnah, they're telling you that cannot be. Part of having the goods is being humble. So if you're not humble and you're selling Torah goods, the goods are tainted. It's not pure goods. It's not unadulterated, pure Torah, 100% grade A. There is a problem. There is a problem with someone portraying Torah ideals when it's coming with, now don't get me wrong, we don't find so many people that have reached the level of anava. It's a high level, including the speaker. We all have problems in this in this field. I'll be the first one to admit it. It's not, you work on these things. But sometimes you see blatant arrogance, and you say, well, but he has the Mishnah is telling you, be cautious of that type of situation, because it's not so pure. Now, humility, Torah is compared to water. Water goes from high places and seeks its level to low places. Torah leaves the high people, the arrogant people, and rests in people that are low. God gave the Torah on Sinai. All the big mountains were fighting. All the 8,000-foot mountains, Mount Emor. Oh, I'm the one. Hashem gave the Torah on me. Another mountain called Mount Tabor in Haifa. Oh, I'm higher. Give it on me. They're all fighting. Little Har Sinai. I have a corner over there. Unassuming Har Sinai. You're the one. God looks for the underdog. God looks for the humble person. So you got to learn from these people. Moshe, the greatest man, most humble man also. There's a connection between his greatness and his humility. The story of Rabbi Yoshua ben Hananiah. He was a rabbi who did not have the best looks. Physical appearance. Gemara goes so far to say he was mechoar. He had negative. And if the Gemara didn't say it, then we would surely not even say those words. And it says one time he went to the Caesar, and the Caesar's daughter asks him the question, Chochma mefoara bechli mechoar. Such glorious wisdom in such a disgusting vessel. Why? Yeshua says, your father has a wine cellar? He says, yes. He says, where does your father keep the wine in? What type of vessels? She says, clay. He says, clay vessels for such expensive wine? And she says, you're right. And she went and she changed all the barrels to gold and silver. And the Caesar the next day asks for some wine. He drinks and it's spoiled. They like vinegar. He says, what happened? Give me from the next barrel. They're all spoiled. He says, what happened? So the daughter comes and says, this rabbi told me to do it. So he says, that's so? Says, I only answered her what she asked me. She asked me why such great Torah, glorious wisdom in an ugly vessel. I explained to her, sometimes, just like the wine, which is very expensive, you put it in junk, and that preserves it. You put it in gold, and it gets spoiled. If I was beautiful, handsome, I might have lost from my level. I might have became conceited, and therefore would have not have become so great in Torah. That humility keeps me in line. So, that's definitely a connection between humility and Torah. And humility is a thing that you can't sketch. Normally we say in Torah, sketch in the beginning, because if you sketch yourself enough, you'll come to really believe it. Run to shul. Even though you don't feel, I don't feel like I'm running to, run anyway. So if you run enough, the feeling will come. That's the famous saying of the Mesilat Yesharim, Hitzoniyut me'oreret hapinimiyut. The external actions affect the internal. Run anyway. We don't tell a guy, act humble, even though you're not humble. Because humble is a state of mind. You can have a guy sitting in the back of the shul, sitting like this, putting on the act of humility, but he's thinking in his mind, a bunch of yo-yos in this shul over here. Look at this guy in the front row over here. I know more than it. So he's not humble. He's acting humble. Mishra Yishnim called the guy a savua. He's colored. He's a two-faced. He acts one way in public. And the story, they went to the rabbi. There was a priest, and all the priest's followers claimed that he was the most humble guy. And he's so humble. And the rabbi suspected it. How humble could this guy be? Priest, goy. So the rabbi goes to the priest's house and wants to see exactly where the guy is. And the priest answers the door, very modestly. Oh, Rabbi, come in, please. Have a seat. And he serves him some water, and he's serving him hand and foot. And so the rabbi says, oh, it's my honor to be in the presence of such a holy man. No, please don't say that. It's not so. I'm not great. The whole sketch. So the rabbi says, I just have one question to ask you. Question? Who am I? I'm not worthy to answer questions. I probably don't know it. anyway, let me take a shot. Okay. He says, I'm sitting with you for 10 minutes, and I have a question. What is it? It says in our Bible, you read it too, that there never has been a more humble man on the face of the earth like Moses. How could that be if you exist? So the priest sits there, he's embarrassed. He says, Rabbi, what can I tell you? I have to be honest with you. I had the same question for 25 years. So, what do you see from there? That's sketchy humility. The guy in his mind is thinking, oh, I'm the greatest person. So, he acting like a real, so you gotta be careful. Not careful from those guys, careful from yourself. Don't sketch yourself. Humility is something you gotta work on. Now you have another reason to work on it. If you want to acquire Torah, you have to have humility. Next thing. B'simcha. Beautiful. Beautiful. Simcha. Gotta be happy when you learn Torah. You can't learn Torah with depression. You can't learn Torah in a bad mood. When you learn Torah, you have to feel, because anytime God is with us, you have to be in a good mood. To be a prophet, the only time people receive prophecy is when they were in a good mood. David HaMelech, before he used to receive prophecy, he used to play some music. Just to get him in a good mood. When you're happy, when there's simcha, there's shekhinah. When there's no simcha, there's no shekhinah. Besides being happy, one has to be very optimistic when he sits and learns Torah. You know, you can walk into this library right here and say, Dachila, where do I see? Right, there's 40 Gemariyot. I'm going to learn half a page a day. Okay, small goals, but eventually I'll finish the whole thing. So he has a good attitude towards Torah. While the other pessimist is saying, well, I'm never going to be able to do it. 40 years later, this guy's making a siyum on Shas, and the guy's still counting how many pages are in the Babylonian Talmud. So you have to have an optimistic view towards Torah. Lastly, in Simcha, is when you come into the Beit Midrash, you have to leave all your problems outside the Beit Midrash. And I'll give you a great trick. Hashbir Osho, the Gemara says, Yasor Torah. The guy's got problems in his head. He's all gassed up. He's got all type of business problems and things going on. The cure for that is go into the Beit Midrash for a couple of hours, sink your teeth into a piece of Gemara, sit down with a couple of hacham and get involved in the class. After a couple of minutes, you'll be so involved. And you'll be so into it with the question and the answer and the hadush and the... So for that hour that you sat, you just mesmerized. You loved it. So you walk out into the real world. Okay, now back to the... Okay, what was I worried about again? Okay, let's get back. So the key is when you go into the Beit Midrash, don't bring the garbage into the Beit Midrash with you. Leave that outside and come into the Beit Midrash. Try to come in with a clear brain for a couple of minutes just to get hooked a little. Once you start, automatically it's like you. The next thing is Shimush Tamidei Hachamim. What is Shimush Tamidei Hachamim? Shimush Tamidei Hachamim is you have to serve rabbis. You got to get close to rabbis. It's not enough to learn Torah. In colleges, if a guy wants to become a doctor or a scientist, it's not enough for a doctor to read a book about open heart surgery. I can read every book about open heart surgery, but he's still not ready to perform open heart surgery. Now I'll get to the patient and where's the guy's heart? But you read every book. There's reading and then there's doing it. So every doctor has to have internship. He goes to the hospital, he walks around with the doctor, he watches them perform a couple of operations, he watches them in action, which is very vital. There's book knowledge, then there's action. So he puts the book knowledge into performance. Same thing in religion. You can read all the halachot, but if you never saw anybody do it, you're lacking something. The guy learns all the laws of Netilat Yadayim, but you still didn't see it being done. You hear the concept, but you go to the rabbi, watch how he makes these. I said, now that's what he meant. That's how you're supposed to do it. You learn the laws of Tifin. You watch how the rabbi puts on tefillin. You watch how the rabbi acts in a certain situation. So that's the living Torah. That's the internship that's necessary in Torah. Besides the actual learning. We call that shimush tamidei hachamim. Serving tamidei hachamim. You got to get close to rabbis. One of the problems in America is we're lacking shimush tamidei hachamim. Truth. That's the truth. And Israel, you have rabbis walking all over the place, and you have their students always flocking around them. And over here, everyone's busy. Everyone knows that's time to. If anything, now they'll spend time with their wives, they'll spend time with their kids and with their business, and they don't have time on a Sunday afternoon to go sit with rabbis and start learning. Over here in America, we lose the internship. Very few people have shimush talmidei hachamim where they're able to. We had rabbis that slept in the houses of great men, and you hear the things that they picked up and they learned from just by sleeping in the house of these great men. How they made Kiddush on Friday night, how they held the Chali, and how they did this, and how they did that, and what they. So we got to be around great people to learn exactly these guys. So whenever you get a chance to be with Hachamim, take advantage. I know, personally speaking, whenever I have a chance to drive a rabbi somewhere, I'm sure you see the rabbi. You need a lift? Those 5-10 minutes sitting in the car with the Hacham driving him to his house, you gain from that over there. You gain from the different things, from the Pisukim that they quote, and from the way they talk, and from the different actions, and from the... And not every time, sometimes I didn't gain anything. He talked about nothing, he talked about nonsense. But over and over again, you will definitely gain. So try to get close to Talmidei Hachamim. It's one of the ways, one of the 48 ways. You will Talmidei Hachamim. Here's a good one. Mi'ut shina. What does mi'ut shina mean? Don't sleep so much. I have a neighbor. He became a very big businessman. And I remember he used to say about him, when he was opening his business, he used to work 22 hours a day. And the 2 hours that he used to sleep, he slept in his office. And this wasn't a one-night thing. This happened for a 6-month period of time where he was, up between 18 and 22 hours, if that's possible, with cat naps in between, trying to establish his business. After 6 months, when it got off the ground, okay. Still goes in and puts in very long hours. He still gets up early and still comes home late. Mi'ut shina. The advice of a guy who wants to be successful in business, you got to put in a lot of time. You can't just come in late and leave early and expect things to run successfully. It doesn't happen like that. In Torah, it's the same thing. If a guy wants Torah, he's got to give up sleep, especially if he's in the working class. So then, for sure, the Kolel guy sitting learning Torah all day long. So he doesn't have the problem so much of getting up an hour early to get a class before he goes to Kolel, because in Kolel all day long he's learning Torah. And I don't have to worry about learning at night, because that's his job. He learns Torah. So that's got to end it. But if a guy's working, and he knows he's got to be in work at 9 o'clock, so this guy over here has to figure out, I got to pray at 8. That means I got to learn at 7. That means I got to get up at 6:30. I can't get up at 6:30. It's too early to get up at 6 o'clock. I can't do that. I need my sleep. I need 8 hours. Well, you got a problem, because you got to put in the time for Torah. And one of the prerequisites is you have to steal from your sleep. If I don't want to steal from my sleep, then you cannot acquire Torah. Especially a guy comes home from work sometimes, and he's tired, and he has his class. Easiest thing to rationalize. I'm tired. Gotta steal from your sleep. It hurts, no question about it. It's hard to get up in the morning, as it is. Especially now I'm going to Torah class, so Yetzirah works double time to get you. But that's one of the things. Gaon Vilna used to sleep 2 hours a night. And it's not my neighbor that I'm talking about. Gaon Vilna is a 2-hour a night, became one of the greatest rabbis in history. He was in the 1800s. They say about him, he should have been born in the time of the Amoraim of the Gemara. He was out of generation, out of sequence. But God put him in our generation, 1800, our time, let's say, so we can have a smell of what the rabbis of yesteryear were. 2 hours a night and not consecutive. 4 half-hour intervals. And they tell a story how he came to one city of minutes, and he was traveling through, and he had to sleep over the night. And they gave him a room on the 2nd floor, and he was learning the whole night in his room with his candle and his shender and his sefer. And they tell the story, the people of that city, how it was the greatest night in the world. They took a ladder and they put it by the building, and the whole town gathered, quiet, all stood on line, and each guy climbed up the ladder to peek in the window. 30 seconds you get to look at the Gaon the Vilna. And they're watching him, and they see the Gaon the Vilna learning Torah, but you see the bomb. And they come down the ladder, the next guy, and everyone's quiet. The whole city was all... And they were so proud of it. They had their zechut for the greatest rabbi of the generation to sleep in their town. And the Gaon of Vilna went to sleep at 12:30 for his half-hour sleep. And they're watching him sleep, because that's Torah. Watching the Gaon of Vilna sleep is Torah. What side you sleep on, how do you sleep, right side, left side, on your back, not on your back. Everything's Torah. And they say, Magid Memezlich, she had a student. He says, I didn't come to learn Torah from the Magid Memezlich. I came to watch him tie his shoelaces. I came to see the other way of life. The Gaon of Vilna gets up at 1:10. Overslept 10 minutes. He gets up and looks at his watch. He says, in the city of Meretz, I slept for 10 minutes extra. He was frustrated. Everyone's watching that. The guy in the ladder sees that. Oh, in our town that happened. He never overslept in his life. Now he's down. He slept. He said the greatest night in history of their town turned into the worst. From Purim to the Shabbat in 1 second. And they couldn't believe. They were all upset. What did we do? It's our sin. 10 minutes of the Gaon of Vilna is, you could learn 5 Gemaras in 10 minutes. And they were all upset. The Gaon of Vilna left the town. He was upset. Everything was come out. Like 30 years later, the Gaon of Vilna was passing through the town of Meretz again. The same system. They gave him the room, and they gave him the candle, and they gave him the books and everything. And they were happy again. They were scared. And he goes to sleep at 12:30, and this time he gets up at 10 to 1. And he gets up and says, I got the 10 minutes back from the city of Meretz. The town made a parade. They went crazy. This is Uchina. Half hour, this couch to us. Who's counting 10 minutes, 5 minutes? What are you talking about? That's one snooze button, 10 minutes. That's nothing. Is this Uchina? The Steipler Rebbe. He's the man I saw. An angel that I saw. A giant. Steipler Rebbe, forget about it. Steipler Rebbe, you walk in, you're so free, you make tissue ladder before you go, and you think that's it. And he sees the sin on your forehead, and you're scared. We walked into the Steipler Rebbe in Bnei Brak when we were young. And we were scared to walk in, because sometimes he says, I'm not going to give you a beracha unless you accept upon yourself to do this and that. And we were scared, he might tell us certain things that we weren't able to. We walked into the Kodesh and we came out alive. The Steipler Rebbe, to show you the attitude of what sleeping to them is. A student came to him once and had a problem with sleeping disorder. He couldn't sleep. So the Steipler Rebbe says, I have a very good thing. I have a sleeping pill you take. It's very good. So the student asked, how does the rabbi know that the sleeping pill? Did you try it? He said, I tried it. It's great. One night I slept 2 hours straight with it. Now in his innocence, he's like, 2 hours, I'm sleeping for 3 days. Like, what? 2 hours? Like, forget about it. This is the great stuff. The kid's like, 2 hours, that's my problem. I'm only sleeping 2 hours. That's the attitude that these rabbis had towards, now of course, each person's simple. A general guy needs between 6 and 8 hours. Some guys can go with 4 hours. The rabbis say 1 hour in the afternoon is compared to 2 hours in the night. If a guy takes a cat nap in between the afternoon, it's considered like 2 hours of sleep at night. So in Japan, that's the whole work ethic in Japan. In the middle of the day, they have cots. People go take a cat nap because they realize that they're getting more productivity out of their workers with a nap in the afternoon. Okay, our society doesn't have that. But that's part of the game. I'm tired. You can hear that a lot about guys that work and learn Torah. Well, know that you're involved in one of the ways of acquiring Torah. Let's give one more. One more. One more is b'mi'ut ta'anug. B'mi'ut ta'anug. That's the last one we'll discuss. We discussed about 15 ways. Mi'ut ta'anug is minimizing the physical pleasure. Not saying destroy the physical pleasure, but to acquire Torah, one does have to sacrifice a little from his physical desires and his physical lust. It's impossible to learn Torah. I shouldn't say learn Torah, because you can learn Torah under any situation. It's impossible to acquire Torah when a person is involved with his Yetzer Hara. If a guy is in the Tum'ah and involved in going to places that he shouldn't be, and looking at things that he shouldn't be, and being with people that he shouldn't be, and eating things that he shouldn't be, and he's just involved, he's enjoying life, it is impossible to acquire Torah. It's like going into the mikveh with a dead body in your hand. You're dipping in the mikveh, thinking you're getting purified, but you're holding a dead body. You have to drop the dead body first, and then immerse yourself into the mikveh. So, Torah is not like another subject in school where, you could... Aristotle used to study philosophy all day long, and then he used to go at night with prostitutes. Yeah. And he used to tell him, hey, was it Socrates? Socrates, tell me, what are you doing? Socrates, what are you doing? He said, now I'm not Socrates. School's over. Now I'm a regular guy anymore. He changes his hat. Now, Torah don't work that way. Philosophy, you can do that all day long, because there's no contradiction. It's just facts. It's like an IBM computer. You program it. The IBM's not a sadiq. It just has knowledge. But in Torah, it's not that way. Mi'utanu. You have to control Yetzer Hara. You can't let yourself become a wild man. You're working... One of the ways to destroy Yetzer Hara is to come to Torah class. And Torah is like a big fire truck. And Yetzer Hara is like a big fire. So when you come to Torah right now, we're really doing it. We're hosing everybody down over there, and Yetzer Hara is getting killed. Yetzer Hara is counting down the minutes. So they walk out of here until he can add some more fuel to the fire. He hates this Yetzer Hara. He hates what's going on right now. The problem is, this lasts for a little while, this feeling of, Torah, we're into it, everything, Yetzer Hara is on the low. But, he comes right back. He's got 400 million lives, this guy. And he comes right back tomorrow morning, still fighting in. He makes you forget everything that was said. So, the more continuity that you have in your Torah, the less problem you'll have with that guy called Yetzer Hara, the less problem you'll have with getting involved in extracurricular pleasures that are really not part of Torah. I'm being very careful. Not that you're minimizing pleasure totally. You got to eat, you got to sleep, and you can take a vacation once in a while. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about doing things that are not right. That does not go with. That's mixing two opposites, a negative and a positive. They reject each other. All right. So what do we do tonight to summarize it quickly? We established that Sefirat HaOmer is a vital time of the year. It's a time to work on ourselves for the big day, for the day of Matan Torah. Not just, hey, Yom, that's it. It's a time for working. If anybody wants to look deeper at what we talked about, the 48 ways to acquire Torah, so we're not going to delve in it. This is food for thought. Now it's in your hands. Go, if you like it, go continue with it. Go search and go look. It's in Pirkei Avot. Everyone has this book. It's in the 6th Perek. It's in the 5th Mishnah. You want to become a king also, so you can take the same Mishnah also. You get the 30 ways. But for our purpose, the 48 ways of wisdom, it is an important, especially this time of year. So B'ezrat Hashem, Shavuot will mean to us more than a kasor. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen v'amen. Amen.